everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama. We are your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, a couple different ways. Channel 182 on Charter Communications, and also Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. We're going to go on ahead and get started because we have AP Steadham. It's been an exciting weekend of football. And before we get started, a couple of times, I want to go on ahead and mention this. We're talking SEC, and this is an awesome show. You want to talk about this just for a minute, AP?
Sure, yeah. It's AP and Kelly as we see it with a capital SEC, Southeastern Conference, in college football. We try to discuss all the teams. We actually do discuss all the teams, and then we keep an eye on the national scene as well, because we'll know down the road in the playoffs and in bowls that the SEC will be competing against those teams. So we have fun. We have a guest, usually the second segment. This week, I think the fans are really going to enjoy the guest, Donna. This is the Alabama-Tennessee week, and we're going to have the dad of Bryce Young, Craig Young, and we're going to have the dad of Brew McCoy, the Tennessee wide receiver. We're going to have them on together because the two sons both went to Mater Dei High School in California, and the dads know each other. So we thought, what better way to have both of them on the show for the Alabama-Tennessee week?
Absolutely. That's going to be really exciting. Well, we had another wild, exciting week. It feels like fall's in the air. Feels like all we need is apple cider, with a little bit of cinnamon in it, and then we're all set. Chili, maybe,
Right.
that kind
A
of
little
thing.
chill. That's right. A little chill in the air.
Yeah. So, wow. Let's talk about Bama.
Yeah, Alabama, last play of the game, it came down to, Donna, for that victory, 24-20. We know that Texas A&M has good players, Donna. We know that. But they're struggling offensively. They have good receivers and running backs, and the quarterback, their struggles at times. But they seem to score that 20 points. They're averaging about 20 points, and that's what they scored on Saturday night. They took the ball away from Alabama. They caused those fumbles and the interception. So they made it a game for themselves. And it came down to that last play inside the 5-yard line. But Alabama was able to prevail. A&M is a team, Donna, that I just do not understand why they can't score a lot of points with all that speed and talent on that side of the football. Mm-hmm. But defensively, we know they have a good defense, and they shut down Alabama. Alabama just scored 24 points. So they played well enough to win the ball game on that side of the ball, but they needed some help offensively, and they gave themselves a chance, a very good chance. But that last play, I don't like when people call a play down a pass play to the corner of the end zone, because it has to be so precise. Yeah. I mean, if it's in the middle of the field, maybe you're off 2 or 3 feet. Somebody's going to leap for the ball, jump for the ball. But if it's in that corner, you're going to go out of bounds, and it has to be perfect, So, but A&M played an excellent ball game. Alabama won the ball game 24-20. They made some mistakes. They had the second string quarterback in for Alabama, Jalen Milroe, and he held the ball in the pocket, and then they tackled him. He dropped the ball, had a couple of fumbles, threw an interception. But Alabama's still a good team. They dropped a little bit in the polls, but that doesn't matter at this point, because it all depends on the 13 people that pick the teams at the end of the season, the selection committee. So it's nice to have the polls, though, Donna, when you're hyping the game, to say that Alabama's at this level or the other team is at this level, and they're going against each other. So I still like to read the polls every week. I still like that.
Now, where is Alabama in the polls?
Yeah, they dropped to 3 in some of those polls, Donna. So they were, at 1, 2, now they're at 3. I think it's Georgia and Ohio State now. That's fine. No issue. They're still winning. As long as you just keep winning, don't worry about the poll. It's just for a formality, really.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too.
Yeah, the selection committee, they don't worry about the poll. They have their own poll.
But something, I'll look at it another way. Had it been another team, they would have remained. They would probably been number one. But because Alabama is normally such a high scoring, I mean, there's like 20 and 30 points ahead most of the time.
Yes.
So do you think it's because they weren't that much ahead in this game? Is that why they dropped?
That's exactly right, Donna. It's a beauty contest every week. Years ago, Donna, if you won, that was the test. Did you win? And you remain in the same spot. Now it's a beauty contest every week. Not
Hmm.
only do you have to win, it has to be with style or
Hmm.
big margins. Yeah. So that is definitely the criteria now, Donna. That's evolved, I think, in the last, I guess it's maybe 15, 20 years, I'm going to say something like that. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, it was definitely a nail biter, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
And
yeah. They
my
got their money's
husband
worth.
Phil is such a huge Alabama fan. I think he was about ready to turn it off.
Was he?
And I said,
He came
"No,
to
Alabama
that.
always wins. They always find a way."
It's fun when it's competitive. I like to see it because then you'll see
Me
everybody's
too.
best, who makes the play at the end. Oh yeah, I like it when it's close myself.
Yeah. Well, what about the upcoming week? What's next for Bama?
Well, Alabama and Tennessee. Alabama travels to Knoxville and Tennessee. Donna, let's discuss them for a moment.
Uh-huh.
40 points they put on LSU in Baton Rouge. I mean, I thought they would win the game. They were favored by, I think it was 2.5, 3 points, but they just continue to give teams fits on the offensive side of the ball. And they didn't even have their best receiver, Cedric Tillman. So, but Brew McCoy, we spoke about Brew McCoy from Mater
Mhm.
Dei. He transferred from USC, played at Texas as well. He had a big game, over 100 yards with receptions. I think it was 8 for 147. I think that's what the number was. So
Mhm.
he's outstanding for them. And their running game is coming along as well with the running backs. The quarterback, Donna, we haven't discussed the Heisman Trophy, but he's one of the people that I'm looking at for Tennessee
Mhm.
because he's playing exceptional. No INTs, no interceptions since last season. We had three, I believe. He's got over probably 45 touchdowns from last year to this year. So he is playing extremely well. I mean, they score. They're leading. They were leading the conference at 48. I don't know what it is now. Probably just a little bit less. So they're a difficult team to beat. Defensively, it really just depends on the matchups. Sometimes they play better against certain teams. I don't know. Alabama, as we saw against Florida down, they gave up 453 yards through the air.
Mhm.
Anthony Richardson, the quarterback of Florida. So I don't know what Tennessee's going to do defensively, but if you don't stop them on offense, they'll put half 100 on 50.
Mhm.
So I think Tennessee's got a really good chance to beat Alabama. I'm leaning towards Tennessee now on this game.
I kind of am too, and I think it's going to be another nail biter.
Yeah, I think
Still
so.
say no, I still say toss up, but I'm like you. I think Tennessee really does have a good shot at it.
Yeah,
If
I think
this
it's
happens, how is Tennessee ranked this week?
yeah, they're in the top 10. I think they were sixth or something like that. So yeah, they would jump way up there, Don. They would jump up there, probably take that spot from Alabama. I think they would, yeah, I think they would take the spot from Alabama because Georgia, let me see, I think Georgia visits Vanderbilt. Is it Vanderbilt this week? Vanderbilt this week. They host Vanderbilt. So that should be a win for Georgia. I
Mhm.
think that they will not surpass Georgia, but they will take Alabama's spot in that poll, move up to, I think they'd move all the way up to three. I really do.
Well, another thing about the rankings too, about the polls, if you really go by those, I agree with you. I think in a way they're kind of built to take confidence away from some teams. So the way Alabama has been such a powerhouse, if they were to get beat, they would go way down, I think, because
Uh,
they've been at the top so long.
well, I think Donna, it all depends on that score.
Yeah.
They're going to have that beauty contest, and they're going to examine, did they lose by a field goal? Was it in the last minute? Did they struggle all game? Did Tennessee jump all over them and beat them
Mhm.
by double digits? So if it's close, I think it would come down. Probably maybe they would come down a couple notches, or maybe they would be the first team in the poll with the one loss. In other words,
Uh-huh.
they have the undefeated teams ahead of them, and then they would be the first team with the one loss in the poll, something like that.
Mhm.
But now, if they were blown out, I think you're right. I think they come down quite a bit if they were blown out up in Tennessee. I sure do.
Mhm.
Now
Yeah.
we don't know who's going to be the quarterback for Alabama right now. We don't know if Jalen Milroe will be the starter or Bryce Young. I suspect that Bryce Young will be the starter. I do
Let's talk
for this
about
game.
Alabama's kicker just for a minute. I
Yeah,
mean,
he missed a couple, right?
yeah, he sure did.
So he Will had a perfect season 2 years ago. Did not miss a field goal or extra point. Last year missed, I forgot what it was, three or four kicks, but he's been
Mhm.
pretty consistent. But I'll have to check. There hasn't been many games, if any. I'm not sure he missed two in a game. I'll have to check that out, Donna. He
Mhm.
definitely missed one in a game for sure, but I'm not sure he missed two in one game. So I have to go back. So he's got to regain some confidence because down to this game could come down to a field goal.
Mhm. It
Could
almost
come down.
did. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
The last game was close, but the game against Tennessee might be a field goal involved. So he's
Mhm.
got to regain his confidence this week, and he's playing on the road.
Okay. If you're Tennessee right now, what are you really
Yes.
going to be working at this week?
My question mark with Tennessee is can they pressure the quarterback? And then Donna, when you pressure the quarterback, if Milroe's in the game and Bryce Young, they both can run. Milroe can really probably run it 70 yards because he has those long strides. Bryce will escape the rush and get a good have an explosive play, more than 15 yards
Mm-hmm.
probably. But you're trying to have that lane integrity when you're rushing the quarterback. You want to corral the quarterback. You don't want him leaving the right side open to run or the left side. You're trying to move together, stay in your lane to get to the quarterback. So I would be worried about that. I would have some press coverage occasionally against the receivers, but I wouldn't use it all the time. I would make Alabama's receivers catch the ball in front of me and tackle them because, like I say, there's no first round draft choice that I see on Alabama's roster at the wide receiver position. So keep them in front of you and make them drive the field, have 8 or 10 plays. And we've seen that Alabama can make some mistakes at times, offsides, uh, offside type of penalties, miss a block here and there where you can get to the quarterback. So make them drive the field. No quick scores, no
Mm-hmm.
over the top scores. And Jamar Gibbs, the transfer from Georgia Tech, the running back, number one for Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
he is very explosive. You have to account for him, number one. Whereas number one, you have to account for him every play because he could take off, run 80 yards for a touchdown, whether it's a short pass or a explosive play through the line of scrimmage. So yeah, I'm looking at number one. He's their main playmaker on offense, and then a person who can be a playmaker at times is 81 Latu for them,
Mm-hmm.
the tight end. He's 6'5". He can outrun the secondary. He's that fast, that talented. So I would watch those players. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, AP, it's painful, but let's talk about Auburn.
Yeah, Donna, they
What in
just do
this
not,
world?
yeah, they do not have the personnel, Donna. I think it stems from years ago when Gus Malzahn was there, and they do not have the offensive line to compete consistently in this league. And when you don't have the offensive line, as we said many times, your quarterback, the theme is running for your life. If they have a song, Run for Your Life, they should play it because that's been Auburn's theme for
That's
the
right.
last couple of years. And so your quarterback cannot operate. And then Robbie Ashford, he's not a high percentage quarterback. He was 13 for 38 that this past game against Georgia. Donna, this is an era where 60% completion is the bottom. That's your minimum. Every quarterback should be about 60. He was way below 50, 13 for 38. But like I said, he did not have the support on the outside, the receivers. Tank Bigsby, I think it was 10 carries for 19 yards. We all know Tank is one of the best running backs in the league, but he is just not getting any help from the offensive line where there's some holes where he can operate. So
Yeah.
it's got to be extremely frustrating for him, the running backs in general. So Auburn, it's going to be a long season for them. They can't score points. You're playing teams with high octane offenses, 40 points, 35 minimum. I mean, Georgia, Stetson Bennett, the fourth, he is sneaky quick. Now, did you see he had that long run about 60 plus
Mhm.
yards for a touchdown? You're looking at him and thinking, I can catch him. He's not that athletic. He's running by you. He is good. He threw for over 200. They had nearly 300 yards rushing. Auburn's defense now is getting worn down because the offense cannot produce. It's 3 and out. That Tennessee Waltz 1-2-3 kick, and it's tough for them on that side of the ball. So, but Auburn, if they're going to recruit better, Donna, in which they need to do, as we know, every year you have to have a good recruiting class to replenish your people who are leaving. They must come to a decision and announce it. Either Brian Harson's going to be our coach because you can't hamstring somebody and say, well, you're not recruiting well. And the first question all the recruits asked on it is, what is my NIL, my name, image, and likeness deal that you can secure for me at Auburn? The second question is, are you going to be the coach? And if he can't answer it decisively, that's a problem. You're not going to get, there's not many people down that are going to either Alabama or Auburn or any of these schools based on the loyalty. That kind of went awry
Yeah, there's
maybe
no
20,
more of that.
25 years ago. Yeah, about 25 years ago or so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's what's my NIL deal and are you going to be the coach?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two main
Absolutely.
questions.
Is
So,
there a chance that this is a question that was posed this morning. So is there a chance Auburn could lose the coach in mid-season?
oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I don't know if they have somebody that they want to appoint as the interim coach.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the
See, that
problem.
would
But
cause some issues too. I mean, this
yeah,
coach would have to be really good.
yeah, I don't know who they would name as the interim coach. I just don't see anybody on the staff per se.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe somebody like a Cadillac. I mean, Cadillac Williams. I mean, he's a position coach, but he's an Auburn man. Played at Auburn. So I just don't know what they would do. They're in a bad spot. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to have a season where you're losing a lot of games, you must make a announcement one way or the other. He's our
Yeah.
coach moving forward, or no, we're going to make a change. You might relieve some of the pressure, but they still don't have the talent down. You might relieve the pressure and say, look, we're going to let Brian coach the rest of the season, but
Mm-hmm.
we're going to make a change. But Auburn just does not have the personnel down. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, you watch these different games and you hear about this coach. I'll give you an example. Uh, Barry Odom is at Arkansas, the defensive coordinator. He was at Missouri, okay, for some time, and he was let go. But he has the reputation of being a good defensive coordinator. Well,
Mm-hmm.
they're terrible on defense. They give up 40 points, this weekend to Mississippi State, and Arkansas didn't have their quarterback. But you take the new coach at Oklahoma, 49-0 against Texas. He's a defensive specialist. He came from Clemson. He's the guy that led Clemson on the defensive side to all those championships.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the players down there. There's not much you can do with the X's and O's. It's always the Jimmies and the Joes. It's the personnel.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we get infatuated with some coaches. We're saying, oh, he's a defensive wizard or offensive genius. Yeah, when you give the ball to somebody and they run 50 yards on a short play, it was the 50 yards that mattered, not the 10 yards you got initially when you made the call. It was the 50 yards they ran. Or if
Mm-hmm.
somebody makes an interception or sacks the quarterback, yeah, you design the play, but it's the person who can get to the quarterback for the sack or make the interception on the perimeter against all these skilled players.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can call the play on both sides, the defense, the offense, but you don't have the personnel. It doesn't matter, Donna.
Well, here's another question that was proposed, and I think this was last week after the show. Is it best to have a coach who specializes in a particular area, or is it best to have a coach who is balanced, in other words,
Right, right.
who could actually handle both? What would you be looking for in a coach?
Yeah, Donna, that's a great question. I've seen it both ways, but there's very few coaches that you can say are excellent on both sides of the ball. I mean, I'm going way back like Tom Landry. I mean, he created all these sophisticated offenses plus the flex defense. So he was a genius in scheming on both sides.
Yeah.
But that's rare. That's very rare. Most people, they have their pedigree is from one side of the football or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Now Nick Saban has become better, has evolved as a coach. Defense was his specialty, but he's opened up the offense by bringing all these other people and learned quite a bit. So that is rare. So it doesn't matter, Donna, if you have the specialty on one side or the other. You must select the coordinator on the opposite side that balances you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's another skill: evaluating talent, players and coaches. If you could hire the right people, we saw that at LSU, where Ed Ogeron, more of a dynamic figure as the head coach, a CEO. His specialty is defensive line, but he had two coordinators, Dave Aranda and I think it was Brady, one offense, one defense, went undefeated, had the perfect season. That was two tremendous hires for him. And when they left, things fell apart.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So,
In any
yeah,
business, AP, any business, you have to have team spirit, and that's whether it's with the management, the ownership, on down to the employees. So do you feel like some of the problems, let's talk about Auburn just for a few more minutes. So do you think some of the issues could not necessarily be the team, but the coaching staff? Are they not together? Because it doesn't feel like there's unity there.
Right. Yeah. I just keep looking at the players on the field on it, and I'm seeing that they don't have people who can perform at the highest level.
Yeah.
Let's say the wide receiver position,
Hmm.
there's no 50-yard touchdown, not very many.
Yeah.
There's, they if they catch the football, that's a big victory. Catch the football, make a couple yards. And like I said, Tank Bigsby, Hunter, they're not able to escape the rush of the linemen. They're not getting the blocking up front. They're not getting the holes to operate.
Hmm.
So I just see that offensive line as being critical in Auburn's problems. I mean, that's the main problem that I see among many, as I discussed. They need some people with some skills on the outside. In other words, like there was a coach I know, he said, I don't want to coach every play. In other words, I want the players out there to run by somebody or make a spectacular catch or run. So I'm not coaching every play that they're able to score touchdowns without me calling the play. They're going to score a touchdown in spite of me, and a defensive player that's going to sack the quarterback in spite of what we called on that side of the ball. So they don't
Well,
have those individuals.
again, and it kind of comes down to this. The first business I owned, I wanted to run everything. Well, I couldn't run everything.
No,
I needed employees to do,
yeah,
maybe capitalize on my weaknesses. So I had to get in my mind what my weaknesses were and hand those down
yeah.
to my employees. And I began to become successful when I did that.
Yeah, that's the art of managing, the art of coaching. Yes, that's part of your responsibility to manage personnel, whether it's on the field personnel or your staff. And then you must have people on your staff who, or somebody, or more than one if you can, preferably, who can evaluate talent because you're always trying to acquire talent, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's the coaching staff, if they know of a coach that needs to be on the staff, or the personnel, the players. And they can evaluate because you're having to make choices. You're
Mm-hmm.
having to make choices of who should receive the scholarship, who
Mm-hmm.
should be the next position coach, and that's what it comes down to, Donna. And then
And
you
that
have to be able
decision
to,
can change in a split second too. I mean,
yeah,
it can
and then
change.
yeah, change it, and then you have to have the salesmanship to attract people.
Yeah.
Your
Mm-hmm.
organization, your organization. Yeah,
That's true. Let's talk Clemson. They seem to
yeah,
be coming up out of the kinks now.
yeah. Clemson keeps winning now. Uh, I think that of course they're the team in the ACC. They're the best team. Somebody's going to have to knock them off.
Mhm.
They're probably. I'm trying to remember if they play North Carolina. North Carolina now is 5-1. I don't
Mhm.
know if they have the defensive talent to slow down Clemson. Although Clemson is a team with that quarterback,
Yeah.
he's playing better, but he's not the superstar we thought.
Mhm.
So Clemson is the best team in that league, and
Mhm.
until someone beats me, I won't change my opinion.
Yeah.
So, but defensively, I don't think it's good. They're as good as some people decided before the season.
Absolutely. So let's get back into SEC again. Who are the two teams you would like to see match it up at the end of the year, end of the season?
Yeah, the end of the year. That's a good question. I think in the West, I mean, it could be Ole Miss, could be Mississippi State, could be Alabama at this point, and they could be going against Georgia, as we know.
Mhm.
Tennessee is a possibility. Tennessee has to travel to Athens, Georgia, down the road here in the next 3 or 4 weeks. I have the date here. Let me see. That date would be Tennessee travels to Georgia. That'll be November 5th. But
Mhm.
yeah, it could be a number of teams in the West, like say Alabama, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, or it could be Georgia, Tennessee. I don't know if Kentucky can reach those lofty goals right now, but those are
Mhm.
the three on each side. I believe have a chance to be in the SEC championship game in Atlanta that first Saturday in December.
Mhm. It's really interesting what happens from year to year. You're pretty good at calling it, though, AP. That's why we like to have you here with us.
sometime.
So, who would you say is the Cinderella team this year? I think I know who you're going to say.
Well, I'm still looking at the Mississippi State on the west side, and for the league as well. But
Mm-hmm.
I think we were always pretty high on Tennessee
Yeah.
because they were gaining momentum through the last couple of years. Josh Heupel, the coach, he was an excellent choice for them. Some people kind of were not that thrilled he was named the head coach because his athletic director came from Central Florida. They had a search committee, and what did he do? He hired the guy that was 2 doors down from him at Central Florida. Spent that money trying to look for people, and I think he's got an excellent candidate. He's proven to be very good. We knew that he was an offensive specialist, and he's delivered. He's delivered on that side. There's no question.
Mm-hmm.
You're leading the conference 40 plus points a game, and he's done wonders by bringing in that transfer quarterback from Virginia Tech. They had another transfer from Michigan, Joe Milton, but Hendon Hooker was the choice last year. I think he started, or he came in the Pittsburgh game, and then he started moving forward all the rest of the games. I think that's the way it worked last year. But so Josh Heupel on that eastern side, as they get better defensively, they're going to challenge Georgia. Maybe not this year, but down the road. And of course, they play Alabama every year. I think they're going to give Alabama a good game from here on out with Josh Heupel as head coach. If they can improve on that defensive side, because he's always going to get some offensive players, I think, Josh Heupel. But Mississippi State on the West, their quarterback is playing tremendous. He had almost 400 yards this week, no turnover, put 40 points on Arkansas. And Mississippi State travels to Lexington this week. Now, Kentucky has not scored a lot of points. I'm thinking Mississippi State might win that game. We'll see, but Will Levis might come back for Kentucky. Maybe defensively they can slow them down. Mississippi State, they're a hot team. LSU shut them down the second half because Mississippi State, I believe, should be undefeated, but LSU took care of them in Baton Rouge early in the season.
Absolutely. Less than 2 minutes left in this segment. Who's your top five?
Yeah, top five. I guess I'd put Georgia up there, top five. Yeah, Ohio State, they're scoring a lot of points. Their quarterback, I think, threw for 6 touchdowns. They annihilated Michigan State. I mean, and I can't. Michigan State spent all that money hiring that coach, about 100 or whatever it was, near 7,500 million, and they're getting beat by double digits every week. That's terrible. They made a bad deal there, Mel Tucker. But anyhow, so Ohio State, Alabama. I think I would put right now Michigan. Michigan's playing good football. I think they're solid, good team. They're a good football team. Michigan, they selected the right quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. I think number 5, I'd put USC. That's my nationalist surprise team on the national level. USC is my surprise team. They keep winning.
Why them?
Well, because their quarterback is exceptional. He has the ability to really score a lot of points. Caleb Williams, he transferred from Oklahoma along with the coach, Lincoln Riley. And then they have the Biletnikoff Award winner, Jordan Addison. So that's a great combination, wide receiver and quarterback. So I think Southern Cal, they have defensively, I think they're not strong, but they can put a lot of points on you against the right team. Yeah.
Okay, AP, let's go ahead and talk about AP and Kelly.
Yeah, AP and Kelly, as we see it, we discuss all the Southeastern Conference week to week. We check back at the prior games, and then we give you a little preview of the upcoming games. We have a guest, usually the second segment this week, but probably segment 2 and 3. We're going to have Bryce Young's dad, Craig, and we're going to have Brew McCoy's dad, Horace. One is the quarterback at Alabama, Bryce Young, and the other one, Brew McCoy, is a wide receiver at
We're going to have to say goodbye. AP, again, thank you so much for being on the show. It was great to have you always.